Alright, so before I even start yapping out here, I gotta tell you guys to go and play this game right now. Go and play it. The link to it is down in the description below if you somehow are living under a rock and haven't heard of this game yet. But yeah, if you haven't guessed yet, the game that we're talking about right now is called BlockTales. And a few days ago, I believe, they put out Demo 3 or Chapter 3 or whatever you want to call it. They put out that update into the game, so, you know, the game has more story now. It has a whole new chapter, a whole new final boss, you know, a whole new sword to collect. And honestly, just a great chapter overall. Like, I think it's probably better than the previous two chapters combined. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like super innovative. There's a lot of new stuff in this chapter over here. The enemies are super unique and super cool, and so are the bosses. Like, again, I heard a lot of people talk about how they thought that the game was gonna get stale after a while because, like, the enemies and the bosses are gonna, like, feel samey or whatever. But that was not the case in Chapter 3 whatsoever. Like, Chapter 3 was just crazy. It had, like, originally, it started out like relatively normal. It looked like your normal BlockTales chapter with like normal graphics, normal fights, normal everything. You know, there were some cool enemies here and there that had some unique abilities, like the skeletons, which if you kill, and there are still other enemies on the board, and if you don't kill those other enemies on the board in like 1 to 2 turns, the skeletons will come back up and respawn. And there were also the Draculas, which stole your HP. There were a couple of unique items in this chapter, like, for example, the bat thing, which you could use. The bat was an item, and you could use it in the middle of the battle to steal 3 HP from an enemy, which was pretty cool as well. And yeah, but anyways, after this seemingly normal part that I'm talking about, you eventually get to a part of the game that is just insane. So basically, let me explain the plot of this chapter first. And by the way, I'm going to spoil absolutely everything in this video, so just go and play the game if you don't want to hear spoilers. But let me explain the plot of this chapter here. So the plot is that you've been sent to Talamon's haunted mansion, right? If you guys remember old Roblox, there was like this little haunted mansion map where there were Halloween events hosted on there, and there was one particular Halloween event where you could get the, I believe it's called the Overseer hat. I'm not exactly sure, though. It was just like this round hat that you could have that would like basically turn your head into an eyeball that was like completely black and had like a red pupil. And yeah, that hat was gotten from this haunted Halloween map, I guess. But anyways, yeah, the point is you've been sent to the Talamon's haunted mansion. And inside of there, it's believed that what's it called? Is it the Ghost Walker? Yeah, the Ghost Walker. It's believed that the Ghost Walker sword is being kept inside of that mansion. And if you guys have played the game before, you'll remember that literally our whole entire purpose in this game is to go out and collect all of the 7 swords from sword fights on the heights, and bring him back to Shedletsky so that he can save Bilderman or whatever, right? And so yeah, the third sword that we have to collect inside of this Demo 3 right here is the Ghost Walker. And the Ghost Walker is sitting in the mansion, right? And you go in the mansion, and it's basically like a big tourist attraction, right? There's a lot of tourists in there. You know, you can talk to them. And honestly, the tourists are like the NPCs in this game are like surprisingly really wholesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like, they keep encouraging you. Like in chapter 1 and 2, there were like a couple of characters that were just fucking mean to you for no reason. But in this chapter, like, everybody's just encouraging you, and it's like it's so surreal, bro. It's so surreal. Like, people are like, oh, you're looking for the Ghost Walker? You're being sent by Shedletsky? All right, bro. Good luck. I believe in you. You know, be the light that shines in other people's worlds, right? Like, people are hitting you with some inspirational fucking quotes in this chapter right here, and it's crazy. But yeah, anyways, you go in the mansion. It's a big tourist attraction, and for some reason around the mansion, there have been like 3 different rooms where you can see the faces of the what do they call it? The classes from boss fighting stages. If you guys haven't heard of boss fighting stages, it's basically the game where the baller meme comes from. You know, you remember the baller meme from like a year ago? Well, if you do, that meme comes from this game. And other than the baller, there are 3 other classes that come from boss fighting stages, which are, well, the baller, as we mentioned, the piercer, which has a bow, the slicer, which has a sword, and the crusher, which has a hammer. And these 4 paintings of these 4 classes, for some reason, appear a lot in this haunted mansion. And there's even like a whole ass puzzle surrounding them, where you have to like move these statues of the 4 classes into their correct spot in order to open the door, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool reference to old Roblox. And another reference to old Roblox is actually one really cool and fucking deep cut reference of old Roblox that I've seen. This game was like right at the beginning when you board the train. There's this guy who has a meat shirt on, and he says, I've spent 1 ticks to get this meat shirt because he thought I would be elite, but now I'm 1 ticks down the drain. And I believe what that is referencing right there is the first ever winter gift explosion event, or at least I believe it was the first ever one, which gave you where in the gift explosion event there was like 1 gift, which I forgot exactly what it's called, but it was like this hacker gift or whatever, and you were sent on like a huge ass fucking quest to like solve a bunch of clues and a bunch of puzzles in order to get the gift, you know, and eventually when the gift opened, you would get the agonizingly ugly bucket of doom hat. And you know, a lot of people actually did manage to solve the puzzle and get the agonizingly ugly bucket of doom hat, but some people were actually managed to solve the puzzles, and instead of getting sent to the right account, they were getting sent to like a completely different wrong account, and the wrong account was actually owned by a scammer. And when you message the scammer, you wouldn't get the prize, and instead he would scam you, as you can imagine. And one of the things that he did was he sent everybody like everybody that DM'd him, he sent them like a link to buy his shirt, which costs 1 ticks in exchange for the gift, the agonizingly ugly bucket of doom, you know. And obviously, when you bought his shirt for 1 ticks, it would give you nothing. You got scammed, and yeah, it was pretty tragic. But I'm really surprised that they made a reference to that. That's like a pretty deep cut reference, you know. I don't think many people know the story of that. But yeah, anyways, moving past references, yeah. So in the rest of the game, you traverse the mansion, and eventually, I forgot what exactly happens, but you do something kind of silly, which turns the entire mansion into like this weird place where like everything is thrown around, like all the objects are floating in the air, and the mansion is filled with like ghost replicas of all the visitors that you originally met. And again, these ghosts are like super inspiring. Like, for example, one of the ghosts tells you how he thinks you're a really nice person if you're stopping by and chatting with all the ghosts, because humans, as he puts it, are cold, like the cruel king, toxic, like the plant, and hateful, like the final boss of Chapter 3. So I really found it pretty cool how how that ghost managed to tie the fucking 3 bosses of the game that we have so far into his little conversation. But yeah, and one other cool thing is that there's a part of the game. If you guys have seen the thumbnail of BlockTales Demo 3, you would have seen this little Jason guy, the slasher guy, in the thumbnail, and you would think that he's the main boss, right? Because he's in the thumbnail, but he's actually not. He's a fake out. When you go and fight him near the beginning of the game, he's actually just the mini boss, and when you defeat him, he just does that motion where he's like, I got my eyes on you, and then he just fucking disappears into a coffin, never to be seen again, which was a really cool fake out, because I definitely thought that they would give out the final boss of the game in the thumbnail again, like they did for the previous 2 chapters, but that was not the case at all. But yeah, anyways, eventually you go in this ghost version of the mansion, you go down to the kitchen and you meet the ghost chef, which is actually the wizard chef from the first chapter, which got killed by Terry, if you guys remember. And yeah, the ghost chef, he recognizes you. He recognizes you as the guy who fucked up his soup in the Black Rock Castle, and he sends you to get some ingredients for him again, but this time he's keeping a close eye on you. And after you go and get the ingredients, he tells you about the location of the Venom Shank, and I believe he gives you the Ghost Potion as well, which turns you into a ghost, which lets you face through any objects, and in battle you will be completely immune to all damage coming your way. But yeah, he gives you the Ghost Potion. He tells you where the Ghost Walker is, but he warns you that if you're not, if you don't have like a pure soul, I guess, you will not be able to hold a Ghost Walker, right? And because the people who don't have a pure soul and like good intentions, I guess, when they touch the sword, they immediately, instantly die upon touching it. Which is terrifying, I'll be real. It is terrifying. But anyways, you and Terry and his little brother Jerry go on a quest to find a ghost walker, and eventually you do find it in like a basement. And Terry and Jerry go ahead and they go and find the chef, so that the chef can come back and wrap the sword up for you, so that you don't die when you touch it. But while Terry and Jerry are gone, and you're alone in the basement with the sword, you get a little curious, right? I mean, they said that the people who don't have a pure soul will die immediately upon touching the sword, right? But you're the main character. You have done nothing but good in this world, right? You're, you're the hero of the story. I mean, you gotta be able to touch the sword, right? You're the hero here, right? I mean, you've done nothing wrong. All your intentions have been good. You've been trying to save the world, so you gotta be able to touch the sword, right? And so you go in, and with a little bit of hesitation, you touch it, and you immediately die. That's right. When I saw that cutscene, I was genuinely shocked. Because I thought it would be like a standard trope where, you're pure hearts. You can just touch the sword and you can get it. You can get out of the stone and, you'll be perfectly fine, right? But no. This game does not hold any leniency or any mercy towards the main character, right? Because when you touch the sword, you instantly die. There's no exception for you. Even though you're the main character, there's no exception for you. And, yeah, when you touch the sword, you just immediately hit the ground. Like, it's so fast, it genuinely shocked me. And on the ground, you just lay there dead for like 10 seconds. And then the screen fades to black. And you're teleported into this like hand-drawn dream world. And it looks so fucking cool. It looks so amazing. But yeah, you're teleported into like a hand-drawn dream world where the Builderman is. And when you meet Builderman, he asks you if you're the person that's being sent to get him out the sword, and you nod, you say, yes, I am. And then Builderman is like, that's exactly the news that I was not hoping to hear. Because now that you're stuck inside of the sword with him, it looks like you guys are going to be stuck in there forever together, and you will not be able to finish your mission and get all the swords. But don't worry, because Builderman has a plan for you. He will just send you on this journey to clean your soul and expel all the sins from your soul, right? So you go on this journey, on this really weird, fucking trippy, fever dream ass journey. Like, trust me, this chapter is nothing like the last two chapters. Like, this world, this journey that you go on is so trippy. It looks like a fucking fever dream, right? And all the environments look like hand drawn, like they were drawn with crayons, right? It's just absolutely insane. Like, just go play this game, guys. Please, after this video is over, just go play this game. But yeah, you go on this journey and you defeat a couple of bosses. You solve a couple of puzzles, obviously, to get to the bosses, but eventually you defeat Greed, who's like this boss that has like a ton of hands. Eventually you defeat him, and you purge your soul of greed. Then you go ahead and defeat, I believe, Isolation next. Yes, Isolation. And you purge your soul of isolation and loneliness, right? Because when you activate the boss fight, the Builderman kind of freaks out, and he just rapidly asks you questions like, "Do you miss your neighbors? Do you miss your family? Do you miss the sound of silence? Do you miss your feelings?" and so on and so on. And whenever he says, "Do you miss blank?" The blank gets progressively weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder. Like, at first he's like, "Do you miss your teachers? Do you miss your grandparents?" And then he's like, "Do you miss the sound of silence?" And so on and so on. And eventually the boss fight activates, and You hop in, you beat isolation, I suppose, and yeah, you go on to the next boss. And the next boss is called Fear. And for Fear, he constantly, basically, what happens with Fear is that Fear in media is often portrayed as like this thing that you have to fear, right? He's portrayed as like this big scary thing. But in this game, fear is actually the one who fears. So he's actually scared of you instead of you being scared of him. And he constantly tries to get you to go away from him. Because in his little world, there's like this repeating key intersection, and you keep having to like take the correct turn to get to him. When you eventually get to him, he says that you're being manipulated, and all he tried to do was protect you. But you don't listen, and you go in, and you fight fear, and you kill fear, and you purge yourself of fear as well. And when you do that, you fall to the floor right in front of Builderman. And Builderman asks you why you can't get up. And you know, because you won, right? You won. You purged your soul of every single sin you had, right? So you've cleared your soul, which means you can touch a Ghostwalker now, right? You can wake up and you'll be in the real world and you can touch a Ghostwalker. But no, Builderman instead tells you that you've purged your soul of all sin, and you've made your soul vulnerable. You've made your soul vulnerable. You made it open. You made it accessible for all kinds of other sins to get into it. And so eventually you get teleported to like this other nightmarish realm that literally looks like hell. Like literally things are burning inside of there, okay? And you get teleported to like this fucking hell dimension, and you have to like traverse it. And when you do, you find this big beating heart that beats in the same rhythm as yours. And when you unwrap the heart, this big animated fucking monster comes out of it, and its name is Hatred. And when you fight it, it does like some really powerful attacks. Like this monster is at your level of combat and skill, right? Because when you attack it, when you attack it, you can attack it 2 times per turn, I believe. And then it attacks you 2 times per turn as well, 2 to 3 times actually. And then it has this really powerful ability where it curls up into a ball and blasts you. And when it blasts you, it does 60 damage. And the only way to avoid it is by drinking the Ghost Potion, which makes you immune to all damage. And when you drink it, you'll be immune to all damage for 1 turn, and the attack will phase through you. But eventually, oh man, this boss was hard, by the way. Let me tell you, it was fucking insanely difficult to beat. But eventually, when you beat him, Hatred says, Exorbula, Exorbula, Exorbula. And then you wake up, and it turns out it wasn't Hatred calling your name. It was the Ghost Wizard Chef calling your name, along with Terry and Jerry. So eventually, when you beat Hatred, you wake up, and Terry and Jerry and the Ghost Wizard Chef kind of start screaming at you, telling you that you're stupid for even trying to touch the sword and whatever, and you almost got yourself killed, and it was a terrifying experience and whatever. Yeah, eventually they calm down, and Terry and Jerry go back to the surface because they're done with their business here, and then the Ghost Chef stays with you so that he can wrap up the sword so you don't accidentally die again by touching it. But you're really ballsy, okay? So instead of letting the Ghost Chef wrap up the sword, you touch it again. You grab it and you pull it out the stone, and you can actually hold the sword now because you've cleaned your soul, you've cleaned your spirit, right? And the Ghost Chef is really shocked by this, and yeah, you get the sword, and boom, that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, the final boss ended up being Hatred and not the Jason guy from the freaking the thumbnail of the game, right? But yeah, it was a really cool chapter overall. Again, I highly suggest you guys go play it. I mean, this game's just peak. It is just peak. I thought it will fall off after like chapter 1, chapter 2, but it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. And I'm just so excited for the future of the game. Like it is absolutely insane. But yeah, I hope you guys go play it. I hope you enjoy it, and that's all. I'll see you later. Goodbye.